Now let's move on to learning the ropes, if you will. First things first, let's call it what it is. Rope is only rope when it's on a large spool. Once it's cut to length, it's line. You don't have ropes on your boat, you have lines. Where they are used dictates the general name for the line. The anchor has an anchor line attached to it. You tie the boat up with dock lines and pull a skier with a tow line. Names of lines can also get specific as well, as is the case with dock lines. The dock line coming from the bow to the dock is the bow line. The one coming from the stern is the stern line. The ones coming at an angle are spring lines, and the ones coming straight out from the side are breast lines. Now when coiling those lines for stowing, few things will cement your impression as a beginner to others as when you start wrapping a line around your hand and your elbow like this. It doesn't work at home when you do it with the extension cord. It just makes a big knot out of the whole thing, so don't do it here. Look like a pro and coil it correctly. Grab one end and run your hand down the line as you spread your arms apart. At the end of your reach, grab the line and with a half twist, bring it into your other hand. See how the twist works here to make a nice coil? Do this until all the line is coiled in your hand, and then leave the last of the line to wrap around the whole coil. Bring the end up through the coil, and it's all one nice, neat, tidy package ready to be stowed under the seats for when you need it. Seasoned boaters do it this way because they know that it's the best way to eliminate kinks in the line, which can seriously reduce the lifespan and strength of your lines. And it also keeps them from getting knotted up so that they're ready to use when you need them. Now, let's put these lines to good use. Let's start handling lines by learning the correct way to tie off to a cleat. You'll do this more than anything else you do with lines on your boat, so you might as well do it right. A cleat is the metal object that's on the dock or the boat that you secure a line to keep the boat from drifting away. To make a line to a cleat, you start with a full circle around the cleat. And then when you pull it tight, you've got a little lock that happens right here. I could hold the boat all day like this and keep it in position even if it had power on. But I like to walk away from the cleat once in a while, so to be able to do that, you make one figure of 8, and then to secure the figure of 8, you simply put a half a twist in the line, pull it, and there it is. Beautiful. Just like that. So let's do it completely from start to finish one more time. We bring the line around the cleat, a full circle, pull it tight, make a figure of 8, put a half twist, and you're all set.
The bowline is the undisputed king of all maritime knots. This is the one to have if you're going to be stranded on a desert island and can only take one knot with you. It's used for putting a loop in the end of a line, but that's really just the beginning of the usefulness of this super knot. Become very comfortable with this knot, it will be your best friend. Also, no matter how much you tighten this knot, it's always very easy to untie, and I'll show you how later. To tie a bowline, start with an overhand loop. See how the running part of the line goes over the standing part as opposed to under? That makes it an overhand loop. Hold the overhand loop and make a big loop with the running end of the line. Then, as the old saying goes, the rabbit comes out of the hole, around the tree, and back in the hole. Grab the 3 and pull it tight opposite the 1, and you've got the wonder knot. As I said earlier, you can pull it as tightly as you want, and to untie it, just lift this little loop right here and it can be pulled open. Work on this one over and over again until you master it. You'll be surprised how versatile this knot can be once you get the hang of it. I'll give you some examples. You can secure things to that loop before you tie it, like the handle of a bucket for dipping it into the water for a quick wash down. For something bigger like an anchor, that loop will have a tendency to work back and forth and chafe the line. To reduce this tendency, wrap the line around again before completing the knot. The list goes on and on. As I say, become comfortable with this knot. You'll be glad you did. The sheet bend is a wonderful variation on the bowline. This is used to tie 2 lines together. Just treat one line as the overhand loop and the other line as the rabbit going around the tree. Watch. We simply put a bend in the first line, and with the second, the rabbit comes out of the hole, around the tree, and this time, instead of going back into the hole, we'll have him lay alongside underneath this line. Pull it tight and you have 2 lines joined together. And just like with the bowline, you can pull this knot as tight as you need and it unties just as easily. Simply lift the little loop and you're good to go. I'll bet you've tied this line a million times but never knew what it was called. It makes a quick little slip knot. Bring your line around a piling and then swing it around the standing part of the line and back in. That's 1/2 hitch. Do it again for 2/2 hitches. It makes a quick little slip knot. The clove hitch is for securing to a piling. You may want to combine with 2/2 hitches to keep it secure if it needs to be held for an extended period of time. It's also an ideal knot to use when running from one end of the boat over to the piling and then back to the other end of the boat. To tie it, come around the piling and bring the line back up again. See how it lays over itself to form a lock? Just like with the lock on a cleat, this will hold the boat if we don't let go of the line, but I do like to walk away from the boat from time to time, so come around again and back down the second loop. Now it stays nicely. But if you need more security, throw in 2/2 hitches. To use this when running from one end of the boat to the other, start at your stern cleat, put your clove hitch onto the piling, and then run forward to the bow cleat. Now one line acts like 2 spring lines. Very cool. The figure 8 knot is used to make a knot in one end of a line to prevent it from running through a hole like a grommet on your awning or canopy. It's just like a regular basic knot with an extra wrap thrown in to make a figure of 8. Now it's a much fatter knot that won't slip through a hole. Whipping is a method of protecting the ends of your lines after cutting. Things start to unravel pretty quickly, so there are several methods of stopping this at the onset. The most common way to keep the end of a line together is to cut it with a hot knife, which melts the ends as it cuts. You can tape the ends and then melt it with a hot cutting knife, or even a match will do. Heat shrink tubing also works well. Some people just say, the heck with it, and tie a knot in the end of the line. This looks like heck and pretty much makes the line useless for most applications. One other method is plain whipping. Lay a loop of some twine along a 1/2 inch length of the line about 1 inch from the end. Hold it tightly as you start wrapping around the line towards the end of the loop. Just before reaching the end, run the end of the twine through the loop. Pull the other end and suck the loop into the wrapping and it's sealed. Trim the loose ends and you're good to go.